Good afternoon. This is Lawrence Pierce Durance. We've been doing a series of very short videos on YouTube for small and medium-sized nonprofits on major gift programs. We've completed Fundraising Part I, first video, and Fundraising Part II. You can find those online on YouTube by just going to Lawrence Pierce Durance. Now today we're going to deal with Fundraising Part III. Here's a common question or statement I get from small nonprofits. We haven't focused on major gifts in the past. In fact, we question whether we really have any major gift prospects. How do we get started? How do we find major gift prospects? Perfectly logical question. I'm going to suggest to you that before we go, there is a prior issue or question you need to address. And that is, if you don't mind, I suggest you go back to Fundraising Part II. And Fundraising Part II dealt with developing your case for support for major gifts. You've got to have a reason why people would want to give you money, major gift prospects in particular. So that little 5-7 minute video could help refresh your memory or get you started on the right path. You got to have a viable case. If you're not worthwhile supporting, it doesn't make any difference what we do here and talk about major gift prospects. Second, we're going to focus on individuals, and I've said that in earlier videos, the reason being that individuals give some 80% of the money we raise from nonprofits in America. And if that's where the action is, that's where we're going to spend our time. Also, when you deal with major gift prospects that are individuals, the identification, cultivation, and solicitation of them is transferable to when you work with corporations and foundations. The converse is not true. So, for instance, with foundations, you can, if you want to find out what kind of money they give, to whom, at what levels, for what purposes, 9 times out of 10 you can just go online and find that out. Doesn't mean you're going to get a gift, but you can get that information. Doesn't work that way with individuals. And a lot of people, a lot of organizations get stuck because they're looking for some magic answer. Keep in mind this little simple phrase. Major gift fundraising is a contact sport. And just keep that in mind. Now, to help you do this, what we need to do is rate and screen prospects. And I'm just going to use a little example as a for instance to help you. I want you to take your donor list and look at it over the last 2 or 3 years and look at the top 10% of the donors. See what kind of gifts have been coming in at that level. Just as a trend or any kind of pattern. Not the one-off, not the bequest, but what kind of gifts come in? Is it 1,000 at the very top? 5,000, 10,000, whatever it might be. And for purposes of what I want to explain to you how to rate, I'm going to use $5,000 as being a major gift for us. And our little organization, that would be a big gift to us. It's a wow gift. You open up the mail and you say, wow, that's a nice gift to get today. And so I want you now to come up with 3 levels of possible giving. If this is 5,000 is a current major gift donor, I'm going to use a figure that's twice that, 10,000, then a figure of 5,000, and then a figure of 2,500. And I want you to label those. So the 10,000s would be A's, the 5,000 would be B's, the 2,500 would be C's. And now then, what you need to do as probably a senior gift officer, the development officer, or the chief executive, I want you to go forth and interview confidentially as many top board members, top donors, top volunteers, top staff as you can. If you can find 20, that's great. If you find 40, that's twice as great. But you want to have as many people as possible who are going to go over the names. Now then, you take a raw list of your mailing list. Let's say there's 2,000 or 3,000 names. From A to Z. You take that, you sit down with the first person you're interviewing, you assure them it's going to be confidential, and you're going to ask them to go through the list and ask them to identify capability, their best guess as to capability of an individual, not their inclination. You haven't marketed or used PR or fundraising techniques to help motivate someone to give, but we're talking about capability. So someone goes through that list and they'll mark down any A, B, or C's that they come across. And in most cases, they will not have a clue. And they can go through 2,000 to 3,000 names literally in an hour, at max, an hour, because they don't have anything to say on most of them. Once they've got through and marked down, you just sit quietly and mark down any A, B's, or C's they see. Then you ask the question, now are there any other names we should include in here? People who might be an A, a B, or a C. Would you please share those with me confidentially? And how would you rate them, an A, B, or C? Now then you take that back. So you can imagine the more people you have doing this, the better chance you're going to get quality information as to the kind of prospects you have. So when you've completed doing this, I want you then to collate the information. Take a look at the trends. Do you have somebody, if you interview 30 people, do you have somebody who's had 10 ratings and most of them were Bs? That's probably a B-level prospect in terms of capability. If you only have 1 or 2 grades or marks on someone, I'd give it a miss. Don't do anything with that unless you have some distinct reason why you should. Now then, when you come back with my little exercise, let's say we came up with 5 A's, 10 B's, and 25 C's. That's 40, 25, 10, 30. That's 40 names. We started with several thousand. We have now culled this down on the initial run-through to a workable, manageable size. And now then I want you to start with the A's. And what you need to do is with you, and if you have a key board member or 2 that's going to work with you, you need to strategize on what you're going to do to, for, and with each prospect to bring them along so you'll ultimately solicit them. The first contact is not going to be, hey, why don't you give us a lot of money? And keep this real important axiom in mind. Every major gift prospect should be seen as a campaign in and of itself. Every major gift prospect should be seen as a campaign in and of itself. It is not a cookie cutter exercise. So you need to strategize what you want to do to, for, or with someone to bring them along. Now then, that's a really brief overview of how you might get started with a major gift program, identifying and beginning to cultivate. If you would like to talk about this, you can feel free to contact me. My name should show up on the bottom of the screen here, and my website. You go to the website, you can feel free to email me or call me. I use the word free and I mean it. You can contact me by email or phone, and I'll be happy to talk with you to help you along the way, and there'll be no charge. All right? So that's where we are with how do we begin identifying major gift prospects. You start with who brung you. All right? Those are where you begin, not off in outer space. Now next time, let me take a peek here. For our next video, we're going to discuss the respective roles of board members versus staff members in major gift programs. I hope this has been helpful, and if I can be of further help, feel free to contact me. Thank you and have a great day.